and
Okay.
it's been more than 2 years now. And I'm a
Okay.
cloud operations engineer. So I
Okay.
mainly work on VMware
Hmm.
and also handle actually Commvault backup. Not really
Okay.
handle, but yeah,
Okay.
monitor and yeah, manage.
Okay. So VMware, which product do you use? Just vCenter, vSphere, or do you work on
Yeah,
any other
vCenter
products?
and vSphere.
Okay. Good.
Storage is basically of HP.
HP.
Storage
Okay.
and host. Yeah, yeah.
So these are locally based, or
Uh,
it's
uh,
on
they're in
site?
Australia, in
Okay.
data center, Equinix.
Okay. So you get hands-on on hardware stuff also, or like if you want to
Uh,
configure anything on, you can say.
I did host patching a bit, but not
Okay.
that. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. No problem. Nowadays you can learn everything on YouTube, so
yeah,
it's not a challenge. So are you guys able to see my screen, right?
yeah.
Okay. So Mr. Live, I'm not sure. Are you Ashish?
Yeah, Ashish here.
Yeah, yeah, Ashish. Yeah.
Hi. Hello,
Okay.
everyone.
Could you please introduce a bit so that the people will know?
Yeah, I'm working in Global Financial
Mm-hmm.
Services this last 13 years. And I think
Oh.
I was working with Rohan also. He was in
Right.
same company. So
Right.
we work on most of, means we take care of all entire Unix platform, Solaris, Linux, and hardware as well. Means
Okay.
we have data center guys who take care of hardware, but after that, once they do fix the faulty parts,
Mm-hmm.
next means whatever the next steps that we take care. We have VMware as also, and we have to take care of storage. And as additionally, I handle the automation software, Tidal, process
Title.
automation. Yes.
Okay. 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 So the data center is still at interface 16, or it has shifted somewhere else?
Data center still there for Windows
Mm-hmm.
actually. Windows servers are there for low
Mm-hmm.
India users, but most of
Okay.
all servers are in US only. Same data
Okay.
center.
So
Job
Citrix
one.
and everything is run locally only, right? On
Yes,
interface. Okay.
yeah, on Windows City.
Okay. So I guess Haji is having some challenges with his mic. Haji, are you able to speak, or shall we continue? Haji, we are unable to hear. I guess there is some issue with your mic or headphone. I guess he's having a problem. So let's start the session, right? So I'll do a brief introduction about me. I am Rohan Kumbare. I'm having around 11, 12 years of experience working on VMware, Windows, Citrix, right? On VMware, basically I work on most of the my I can say uh, involvement is VMware and VMware products, right? Including all the SDDC stack. Right? So it is on the tools and automation and the everything on I can say
Hi
software
Rohan,
defined data.
uh, hi Rohan, sorry to interrupt you. I
Yeah,
just
no.
connect my mobile.
Okay, okay.
So let me introduce myself. My name is Haji Mohammed. I'm currently working in Travelex, India Private Limited, where we are, manage VMware, Citrix, Symantec, and Windows Server administration part. Due to the recession period, COVID-19, I've lost my job. So I'm currently looking out for job. So due to that, I'm looking out for some training part, which I feel I'll gain some ideas and knowledge to improve my confidence level to attend the interviews.
Don't worry, Haji. We all are with you, right?
Sure,
So
sure, Rahul.
you
Thanks.
stay strong and just keep exploring, right? As if
Yeah,
LinkedIn
yeah,
has, I
that's
can
what
say,
I'm doing. Yeah.
Yeah. LinkedIn is the best platform I can see currently for job seekers, right? So you update
Yeah,
your profile, keep on exploring. So
sure, Rohan.
you'll
Thank you so
surely
much for
get
having.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
sure,
yeah. No
sure.
problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Dilip Kumar, could you please introduce yourself a bit?
Rohan, we have already interacted in last session as well.
Right,
I hope you
right, right,
remember.
right. I know. Right. There are
Yeah,
a few new people,
yeah,
right?
I
So.
said, yeah. So currently, I'm working with one of the American product-based company. It's in
Mhm.
US based, and like my role is in Windows and VMware admin, and
Okay.
little bit of cloud as well, Azure cloud.
Azure
Prior to
Cloud.
that, I
Great.
was working with Capgemini. Yeah, like little bit of that, but my major role is in Windows and VMware admin. So prior to that, I was working with Capgemini, and prior to that, I was working with Wipro.
Okay. Great. Great. So fine. Let's start with today's session then. I would like to thanks everyone
Again
for
today, Rohan.
joining. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, Rohan.
Yeah.
Again
Tell me.
today we have limited audience,
So
just
that's
like
fine.
yesterday.
Right. So that's
Yeah,
fine,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So we can't keep rescheduling. The people can get on the recordings
yeah.
and they
Exactly.
can get back to me as if they required, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so let's start with the session, right? So today we are I can say starting a session for. So today we are starting a session with vRealize automation and orchestration. So these are the versions which we'll cover, which are widely used in market, which is 7.5 and 7.6, and 8.x, 8.1, 8.2 is it's recently introduced by VMware. So probably people are migrating, but it is not I can say a widely used product. But the 7.5, 7.6 is actually ruling the entire private cloud infra, right? So the people who have a private cloud infra, so probably they are using vRealize automation for their internal machine provisioning and automation purpose. So let's start with the session, right? So what we are going to learn, these are the overviews for VRA 7.6, 7.6 overview, right? VRO 7.6 overview, VRA 7.8.x overview, and VRO 8.x overview, right? So this 7.5 and 7.6 is quite similar. I'll let you know what all the difference is there, right? So probably I didn't put that, but it is a similar product, right? So like the way we had a previous session, so I need the more interaction from you guys, right? So that even I would not get bored, and I'm not used to these sessions and stuff wherein one people is talking and other 20 people are listening, right? So even I am the one like you, right? So you who were sitting in backbench and enjoying this stuff, right? So probably I like you guys to interact, right? So that we will come to know that this session is going to and fro, right? So, what do you understand by this term, right? We realize automation. Can you please anyone tell me? I want everyone to speak. That's not a problem. If you are in noisy environment, that is also not a problem. You can speak it out. So let's start with Dilip Kumar. What do you think about that?
Rohan.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I said like we realize this automation is completely new for me. I haven't worked or even I
No,
haven't
but
used this kind of
agree,
like tools.
agree, agree. But
Yeah,
what do you think about we realize automation is? कुछ तो दिमाग
yeah,
में आता होगा कि what it
automation
is.
like yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like automation as in like I have used PowerShell. So basically, also VMware CLI. So it's like
Mhm.
automating the stuff which are repetitive, so that it
Okay.
can reduce our manual efforts.
Okay. Great. Okay.
So
Uh,
basically, a tool which can use automation.
Okay, okay. Haji, what do you think about that?
It's completely new to me as well,
Hmm.
Rohan, but
Hmm.
it's something related to automation tool, I think,
Hmm. Okay,
so
fine.
that the task might be perform automatically as per the schedule or something like that.
Okay, great. Ashish, Ashish, what do you think about? I guess he's unable to unmute. Vinith, you can continue. What do you think about vRealize automation?
Uh, yeah, actually, it's new for me as well. So
Right.
recently, in my company, they introduced a product called VROps. So
VROP,
that
right.
wasn't, yeah. So that was into monitoring. So I'm not sure
Mhm.
whether it is related to vRealize as well. Not really sure, but this is something
So
into
anything which
mon.
comes in, right?
Yeah,
Anything which comes
it's
in.
something which is like you can set it to like you can automate the resource that we have,
Uh,
something related to that.
okay, fine.
Yeah,
So I'll explain you the basics, right? What
yeah.
exactly the vRealize automation is, apart from all the fancy definitions which we have, right? So vRealize automation is nothing but I can say a portal like you have a Amazon portal, right? So you go to any of if you want to buy a cell phone, take an example, you go to mobile, right? And you click on this mobile, right? So you select the hardware configuration, right? And you click on, I can say, add to cart or something like that. You click on buy, and that's it, right? So it is something related to vRealize automation. So I have given you the example of cell phone, right? If you compare this with an IT example, so what do you think, what are things you are going to buy and what all things you are going to customize? Any thought?
Hardware, hardware.
Exactly. Hardware, yes, you can do that, but anything specific or anyone? If I have given you example of cell phone, right? That you go to cell phone, you explore what all things are there, what are the features, you select the configuration from here, what you require exactly, and you click buy now and you submit the request. Right? So in the yeah, in the term of IT, right? If you are in IT organization, definitely you are not going to purchase a cell phone or a watch or like a cloth or a t-shirt. What you are going to procure for to work on your day-to-day environment? Vinith, any thought?
Sorry, can you just repeat your question, Rohan?
Okay, so I have given you example of Amazon, right?
Right.
You go over there, you select the configuration, you select the color what you want, right? And you click on buy now, right? So you get a cell phone delivered at your place. But you compare this example with the IT stuff or the entire thing which we do in our organization. So what do you think the application owners or a department or an, I can say, developer can procure to work or to perform their task?
Uh,
Servers,
maybe
right?
yeah.
Okay, so
One
License,
is we
we
can
can increase number of license and
no, that's fine. But if you want to work in your organization, like you are a developer and you require something to work, right? And
Internet.
to work internet, how you can procure?
ask for VMs.
Okay.
Right,
As per
exactly. The servers, the VM, right? So
cloud,
sorry.
cloud, something like that.
Yeah, so all the VMs and the, I can say, configurations which you request, that will definitely go on, I can say, somewhere else, right? So cloud is something like you're using someone else's resource, or if you're taking example of a
Yeah,
private cloud, you're using your resource. If you take a public cloud, you're using someone else's resource, right?
right.
So to work in any department or any organization, right? You will properly require, I can say, servers, environment to perform or the environment to work around, right? So vRealize automation is nothing but a tool which gives you an option to procure a VM or to provision a VM. So usually, if you have an experience of a VM provisioning, right? So being a server admin, right, we know how to go to vCenter, which template you need to select, which VLAN you use to select, and all the technical stuff which we can do. How much disk you want, what is the size, what is the format, and etc. Right. But if you are a layman, right, you are application owner or you are a developer, you don't know how to log into a console and to take a VM and to provision it, right? So for them, we realize automation is developed, I can say a portal. I'll show you the portal later, how it looks exactly. And in that portal, you can request a VM. Take an example, if you are I can say a developer and you require develop, you are going to test some of the applications. So the set of VMs would be definitely or basically would require is web app and DB, right? So probably in vRealize automation, you can select those app servers. You can select the operating system of app. You can select the operating system of web. You can select the network as if you need a web a network as it should be internet facing. It should be in DMZ, etc. An example of a DB stuff. If DB required you SQL, Oracle, or whatever, right? And if you require a certain set of hard disk or a data more on a DB part, and app and web would be a lower lesser part. So you will get some kind of portal, right, where you have a something like a templates would be displayed over here. You should request a template. You should select the CPU, memory, RAM, hard disk, a network, and use to submit. So it will go through an approval process, and you will receive an email with the IP address, VM name, how to access the link URL, etc. So we're going to hope you guys understand what the basics about the vRealize automation is, right?
Yeah, Rohan.
Uh,
Okay.
Ron, just
Yeah.
one point. Like
Yeah, yeah,
while
you can.
deploying a new VM, we get that option anyways, right? Like selecting a VLAN and selecting like
That
modifying hardware
agree,
resource,
agree. But
customize operating
right,
system.
but if you take an example of organization, right? Take any example. There is an IT department who has a control over the IT stuff, right? So do you think the access of vCenter should be given to an entire 10,000 people working in your organization? No,
No,
right? Right. So there are many technical stuff, right? You need to right click on template, you need to do new VM, you need to do plenty of stuff, right?
correct,
So
yeah.
what all things if anything messed up? So if we'll give you some portal like Amazon or Flipkart, wherein you have I can say graphical images of the things you require, right? You need to select your department, you need to select the operating system. So that is quite simple, right? The way we purchase a cell phone, I've showed you already. So this is a cell phone, right? You need to select the color which you want, right? You need to select the configuration which you want. So for this, you no need to do anything technical, or you no need to be tech savvy that you need to learn vCenter or VMware or Hyper-V or whatever, right? You can simply use this portal which is user friendly. You can click on add to cart, you can click on buy now, whatever, and you can provision. So there would be a set of approvals required. After that, you will get an email like the email which we receive from Amazon that this product is you have purchased and this is the order number and etc. The same email you will get it by vRealize automation once your VM is ready, right? That your so and so VMs are ready. This is the IP address, this is the URL where you to access that. This is the user ID and password and stuff. You got the point.
Got it, yeah. So
So I
it
would
is
like anyone.
simplified. You
Yeah,
can anyone can actually do this, like non-IT
agreed.
person.
Agreed. So that is the main purpose of that, right? Because I have seen in my career, private cloud is mostly used by a bank, bankers, right? So bankers are, you can see, a less tech savvy people in this, right? So probably there are tech savvies, but so what do you think the banker who is working on loan, credit card, do you want him to give him an access to vCenter? No, right? A
No,
developer who is working on a coding or stuff, you want him to give an access of vCenter? No, right? Or the application owner or the big bosses, right, who have experience on management and stuff. So what do you think they will feel this portal comfortable or they will feel an vCenter comfortable?
this
So
portal.
again, there is a chances, yeah, there would be a chances of messing thing ups. They will ping back to us, right? Boss, this is not happening, I have provisioned a VM, I've sent this error is getting, right? So all those errors they need to dig down or drill down over here there. But in this portal, everything is on GUI based. They will come to know what all things are there, right? And how the thing goes, right? So this is the simple basics about vRealize automation, right? So to start with the definition, I want someone to read this for me. This is the history of vRealize automation. Anyone? Vinith, I guess your mic is unmuted, so you can proceed.
Yeah. Uh, vCloud Automation Center, vCloud, vRealize Automation Versions History Timeline. In July 2012, VMware acquired a company named Dynamic Ops. Product that was offered by them was DCAC. That's Dynamic Ops Cloud Automation Center. Then in December 2012, after this acquisition, VMware introduced a product with the name vCAC. That's vCloud Automation Center. In September 2014, VMware rebranded the product again with the name vRealize Automation and introduced the product vRealize Automation 6.1. That's the latest release of this product is vRealize Automation 7.0, which was introduced in December 2015. This product provides a unified portal for the development and management of cloud solution across VMware, private and public cloud, physical infrastructure, and multiple hypervisors and public clouds.
Right. So I might to make some changes. The latest one is 8.x, right? So it's not 8.0, 7.0, it's 7.x, right? So to get the basics about it, the VMware purchased a product from a different company, then they developed it, they matured it, they rebranded it, right? So now they are selling the vRealize products, right? Or I can say those SDDC products in the name of vRealize suite, right? So in that vRealize suite, we have a different product like vRealize Operations Manager, vRealize Automation, vRealize Orchestrator, vRealize Log Inside, vRealize Business, right? So all the cloud related, or I can say the SDDC form where there wherein we can configure those VMs into a cloud. We can do cloud automation, you can do monitoring and etc. So they are selling this is a part of SDDC suite, or I can say vRealize suite, wherein this all the products are there, right? So probably you got to know what all what is vRealize automation.
Yep.
Uh, Good morning, Santosh.
Yeah, hi, good morning.
Yeah, hi, good morning. You already started a session, right? So,
Yep, that's
so
fine.
yeah. So this is the I can say the slide where we were exactly. So we were trying to explain what is vRealize automation, right? So do you aware anything basics about it, or you are still new on this product?
Yes, I have little bit knowledge of it, so
Okay,
you can go
okay,
ahead, no problem.
okay. Yeah,
Thanks.
no problem. Yeah. So to proceed with the next slide, this is the industry, I can say, definition for vRealize automation. So I want anyone to read that's so that I can explain it later. Anyone? Anyone can read who are comfortable reading. Don't mind.
Rohan, I
Yeah,
will read.
what is
Yeah,
vRealize automation? VMware
Sure,
vRealize
sure,
automation
sure.
is a proprietary
Okay.
VMware tool for cloud.
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, for cloud provisioning and the automated delivery of personalized services in complex systems.
Right.
vRealize automation is a modern infrastructure automation platform that enables private and multi-cloud environments on VMware Cloud Infrastructure. It delivers self-service automation, DevOps for infrastructure, and network automation capabilities that helps you increase business and IT agility, productivity, and efficiency. Integrate, streamline, and modernize traditional cloud native and multi-cloud infrastructure with vRealize automation and simplify IT while preparing for the future of your business. VMware vRealize automation provides users a simplified portal showing all the resources they can access. Being a cloud management solution, vRealize automation is not just limited to the deployment of virtual machines on vSphere platform, but we can also deploy physical and cloud machines on various vendor solutions, including Microsoft Citrix, Red Hat, and KVM.
Right. So these definitions are definitely self-explanatory, right? These are the simple definitions which I have definitely got from internet. But to go, just to be on a simple part, it's nothing but a portal, right? Where portal like Amazon or Flipkart, where you go, you purchase the, or I can say you provision your VM, you select the configuration, and you move ahead, right? So if you have any question, you can stop me in between. That's not a problem. I won't mind, right? So, but I need the healthy conversation between us. So to drill down with, we realize automation, right? We require some time. So we can I can say post we realize orchestrator, we can do that, right? So we realize orchestrator is a small topic, so I have took it ahead. So after that we can proceed with the architecture and stuff, how what the we realize automation is and how it looks and feels, right? So again, I want you guys to share your thought. What is we realize orchestrator? What it does exactly? So we realize automation, we know what it does. So what about we realize orchestrator? It is something similar to it, but any thought on you guys? You can unmute and share your thought on this.
So basically, it's a workflow-driven tool. So it'll
Exactly.
just help you in automating. While automating, it'll just help you with the workflow
Right.
aspects of it.
Great. 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 Anyone want to share their thought? Okay. So I'll explain is what is vRealize orchestrator. The orchestrator is nothing but I can say it is a tool which is having a heavy workflows or the heavy customization which we need to do. Take an example of a VM, which I'll give you a live example, right? So if you have provisioned a VM, right, but you require something granularly to be configured on that VM. Take an example, as you provision a VM, it should trigger an SMS, right? So as you provisioned a VM, it should trigger SMS that boss, this is your service request, and we'll let you know how we proceed on this, right? So probably that VM would have certain level of approval, right? So for example, level one approval will be X person, level two approval would be Y person. So as soon as the VM is provisioned, the workflow will trigger that workflow will trigger an API. So API we call SMS, I can say SMS system, right? So it will send an API or API calls to SMS system. It will send a code to SMS system wherein this is the number, this is the user, and he has provisioned so and so system. So as soon as you provision a VN, you will receive an SMS. So as per that VM provisioning, that require a two level of approval. So again, it will take the approval request from approval who are the level one approvals from vRealize automation, and it will again do a call to an SMS system, and it will again send an SMS to level one approver. So once the level one approver approves, so the person who has requested a VM will also receive an SMS saying that boss, level 1 approval is approved. Again, it will go through a level 2 approval. So again, the level 2 approval will receive an SMS saying, boss, these things are pending for your approval. Could you please approve it? So once he is approved, so again we will come to know level 2 approvals are approved. So after the VM provision, again we will come to know via SMS, right? So again it will trigger an API call, and wherein we have those text configured, wherein you will receive an SMS saying that boss, your VM machine provisioning is completed and your request number is so and so. Kindly follow your email for accessing this system. So we realize orchestrator is nothing but a workflow management tool which configures a separate workflow which requires for further API triggering or further configuration, etc. So there are few machines that needs to be configured on different system, like a monitoring system, a backup. So there are different workflows or separate scripts developed by a developer. Usually developing those scripts requires some DevOps knowledge, right? So they guys can develop a VM, they can customize it, they can do an API calls, they can talk to a different applications, they can talk to a different systems, and they can do a machine provisioning and action accordingly, right? So again, this is the I can say a market definition for vRealize orchestrator. Anyone who can read on this, I would never mind. Anyone? Do you want me to call the name? Anyone can proceed and read, so that Mr. Dilip, Santosh, anyone can go ahead and read.
Yeah, hi. This is Dilip here. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
read out.
Okay.
So, so we realize what is we realize orchestrator. We realize
Orchestrator, right?
orchestrator is a modern workflow automation platform that simplifies and automates complex data center infrastructure processes. We realize orchestrator delivers consistent remediation of issues, extensibility, and IT agility. We realize orchestrator is a powerful automation tool designed for system admins and IT operations staff who must streamline tasks and remediation actions and integrate these functions with third-party IT operations software. We we realize orchestrator comprises the following features and components. VMware vRealize Orchestrator is a workflow engine which allows the user and external systems to execute and monitor workflows by providing a library of workflows that performs the management tasks per best practices. We can also run workflows externally using vSphere Web Client, VMware vRealize Automation, SNMP, Python, PowerShell script. Can also make use of VMware Solution Exchange, which provides a library of VMware and partner provided we realize orchestrator workflows and plugins.
Right. So hope you guys are clear, right? What our we realize orchestrator is, right? And what it does exactly. So we will have a look up the, I can say, the portal, how it looks, right? And so this is the basic video which I have got, and it is UI based. So hope you are able to listen the sound also. Are you able to listen the sound of this?
No, actually.
Okay. Okay. So just check whether now you're able to.
Hello, in this video, I'll be
Yeah,
walking through
now.
Now it's fine, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can ask me a question in between itself. So I'll explain you as soon as the video proceeds, right? So if you have any doubt, any question, you can ask me to pause and you can proceed same way, right? So this is vRealize Orchestrator 6.7.6 new HTML5 UI, right? So
vRealize Orchestrator 7.6 new HTML5 user interface. Right when you log into vRealize,
okay, so this is the home page, right, where you have this is I can say it's nothing a GUI based, right? It is much more coding and much more I can say technical, where no one logs in apart from the administrators, right? So these are the dashboard where you see what all workflows are there. You will see the name of the workflows, the acquiring attention if some of the workflows is creating a problem. You will see a graph over here, or I can say a pie chart wherein says running, waiting, failed, etc. You can go there and see what all things is creating a problem, right? So these are all I can say a complete technical and a complete I can say a workflow related engine which requires a course expertise to I can say configure and work on this, right? So there this is the simple workflows, action policies, activities, assets, and administration, right?
vRealize Orchestrator, you'll see a brand new dashboard that will give you great information about what's going on within the workflows that are running within the system. First, you can see all the workflows that are either running, waiting, or failed. You can have favorite workflows by marking them with a favorites tag, and they'll show up in your favorites menu, and any workflows that are waiting for user input. You can also see recent workflows that have run, and lastly, you can see a list of failed workflows, workflows that have run the slowest, and other information such as workflows that are taking up a lot of system CPU time. So the dashboard is a way to get great information about what's going on currently within vRealize Orchestrator. Under the library section, you'll see the list of all the workflows available in the system. You can create new workflows as well as search for any of the workflows using our new search method, which utilizes tags. For example, if I wanted to find a workflow that was related to vRealize automation,
These are all the workflows which are there, right, on inside that we realize orchestrator, and it is configured to work upon each and depending upon the blueprint or the request machine where it is configured, right? So it is a GUI based now, but previous to that we used to have just a text one. But to make it simpler to a new IT people, right? So they have created this beautiful I can say widget types view, right? So we'll see and we'll come to know what all things are there, right? So we have a tags in that. So in the tag, you will come to know what all the things like library vCenter. You have a tags inside this. This is for NSX. So instead of looking at the even after looking after the tags, if you search a tag over here, it will show all the workflows related to those particular tags. Like if you search for vCenter, it will show for vCenter. Yeah. Any questions? Okay.
And NSX, I could simply type automation, then NSX, and a list of workflows related to both of those solutions would appear. This is a great way to quickly find the workflows that you're looking for. Now let's look at editing workflows. I can type demo to look for a workflow that I've created. And once it finds that workflow, I can click on the workflow to get into the editing mode. As you can see here, this is a fully functioning version.
Yeah, so take a look at it. This is the workflow how to edit, right? So we have run, debug, validate. So it does it a debugging also, wherein some of the codes are not working as expected. It will show the error, what all things are creating a problem, and you can go and fix accordingly.
vRealize Orchestrator with the new UI. I have my summary page where I can enter my tags. I can create workflow wide variables, any inputs and outputs, as well as modify the schema. As you can see here, we have several different types of widgets that you can use in the workflows, just like you're familiar with the older versions of vRealize Orchestrator. In this one, I have a simple scriptable task that I've named demo task. Here you can see that I can do just as much as I did in the old version in the new UI. One of the enhancements you'll see here is the API Explorer is quickly and readily available for me as I'm doing my scripting task. Another great feature is a version history.
So again, the API Explorer which is shown over here, right? So we can, instead of going, the previously used to require a specific commands or specific codes to go through, right? So the for the people who are learning new and they are not aware of that, so that was creating a challenge to them. So now we have a API Explorer, so we can go through that particular API triggering, right? And the same time the on you can say the same code will be auto generated over here.
Now you can come in and look at the different versions and get a side-by-side comparison of the differences that have happened within the particular version.
Okay, so for this version part, when you change anything and you save it, right? So it will ask you to save as a new version. So if anything creates a problem, you can go ahead with the previous version. So this is the comparison of the versions which we had, right? And it will show you the difference between those. So anything goes out with the new version, you can definitely side by side compare with the previous code, and you can proceed.
Side-by-side comparison of the differences that have happened within the particular version. You can also see a list of all of the things that have happened from an audit perspective for this particular workflow. So as you can see, there is full functionality in the new vRealize Orchestrator UI for editing workflows. You can also create actions and policies just as you did workflows underneath the library section. Under the activities tab in the new UI, you can see things like workflow runs. And if I could click on any of the workflows that have run within the system, I can see information about that particular run of the workflow. As you can see here on the left-hand side, I can see all the tasks that were run as part of the workflow. And an interesting addition is you can also see all of the tasks that have run as a part of a separate workflow that was called during this workflow. You can see a lot of great information like you could see in the previous versions of Orchestrator as far as variables and logs, but you can also see a great new feature from a performance perspective. This will give you the ability to look at each task that is run with inside of the workflow and look at the timing and what's been going on from a performance perspective for each task to see where there might be places that you can increase efficiency of this particular workflow run. You can also look if there are user times that are taking too long to get responses, as well as just any time blocks or time waits that might be taking a long time for this workflow to run as well. So the performance tab is a great place to get great information around what's going on for a particular workflow run that's happened within the system and help you troubleshoot any issues that might have happened with that particular workflow run. You can also see things such as scheduled workflows, things that are waiting for input, and policy runs that have happened within the system under the activities section. Under the Assets section of the UI, this is where you're going to create new packages, much like you did in the previous versions of vRealize Orchestrator, as well as import any third-party packages that you might have acquired. You can also create new configurations, as well as import resources that you might have available to you. And finally, the last section of the user interface is around administration. Here you can create new groups and assign users to that group. You can also assign different roles to different users and groups. And you can look at the inventory that you have connected.
This is the inventory tab, which is, I can say, core of vRealize Orchestrator, where you will see we can connect a different tool or different mechanism to it. Like we have SNMP PowerShell, right? We have vRealize automation infrastructure, we have vRealize automation, we have NSX, we have Azure Active Directory. So we connect those plugins into vRealize Orchestrator and we make workflow do the task connected to that particular Active Directory. Take an example of VM provisioning, which requires the domain adding, like the VM should be added into a domain, right? It should go to a particular OU, particular role should be assigned to that particular VM. It should trigger and a workflow to configure it into a WSUS, etc. So that is the one example which I have given. So if you add an Active Directory component over here, you can simply go ahead and do the, you can ask VM to call or VRO to call the Active Directory and configure the VM accordingly. So these are the main, I can say, inventory, where you do all the API configurations, all the configurations to a different tool, how they talk, how they behave, right? What all things it's required for that particular tool to give information to VRO, and it's a both way communication.
Within the system. And then finally, you can look at the audit logs for all the actions that have happened.
So this is the logging, I can say, which is integrated. If you want to see any troubleshooting, want to troubleshoot anything, like if you face, you will see the info over here, you will see the error, right? So you can go inside and see what all things are getting failed, and you can action accordingly.
Within inside the platform. As you can see, there's a lot of great new enhancements that are available with the new user interface for vRealize Orchestrator. Thank you for your time checking out the great new look and feel of vRealize Orchestrator.
The basics about vRealize Orchestrator, right? So how it looks and feels. So what do you think, guys? Does it make sense, or I'm boring out, or what is it? So we can proceed with the previous session, the further slides.
So it has, I have a question. It has,
Yeah,
if
go
we
ahead.
change any code, if we do any changes in codes, then it, like we have Git software or CVS. So it is similar kind of thing that it keep tracks of change in codes. So we can, when we do any changes in the code, and then we have to update it, its Git database, and then we use that new version for everyone.
Right, right.
So it is similar kind of also added in this.
Right. So if you, yeah, I'm not sure if you are was paying attention to a video. In video, it said that it has a versioning, right? So when you do any changes in code, it will ask you to take the new version, or you want to override the existing version. So when you take the new version, it will keep on saving the older version, right? So we have side by side comparison of the previous version. You can do n number of comparisons. So it will show you in a highlighted way that which code has changed on that particular version, and you can action accordingly. If you want to override the newer version with this one, if you want to make changes vice versa, you can do that. So it is totally dependent on you. You do.
But so it has same Git capabilities, right? That is what I'm saying. It's a similar.
Yeah. No, that GitHub I haven't worked on, so I'm not sure how it looks and feel in the way of working. But yes, the versioning stuff is there every in this. Even do you do a single change, it will ask you to update the version, right? So if you do the versioning, it will definitely keep the previous version with it.
Okay, that is what I want to say. It has same versioning
Right.
capability also.
Right.
So good.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Dilip, you was asking something.
No, no, I said like you were asking like whether it's boring or not, so we should proceed. I said yeah, it's okay, fine, good.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Fine, then we'll just proceed with, I can say, we realize automation now, right? So how VRA 7.6 looks and feel, right? So I'll explain you each and every component, right? And after explanation, or at the time of explanation, you need any I can say explanation or any further elaboration of that particular component, you can ask me right away, right? So this is the simple, I can say VRA 6, I can 7.6 or 7.5 and 7.6 architecture, how it is configured and stuff. So this is the simple way which I have I can say made it, right? So we have a complicated way, a complicated diagram which I'll show you in a previous slide, but this is the simplest way I can show you the diagram, right? So this is the user logs to VRA core load balancer, right? So load balancer is nothing but I can say it will monitor all the three core VRA component, which is VRA core 1, VRA core 2, VRA core 3. This is the ready-made OVF template which we get from from VMware, right? So it is directly just go ahead and deploy. I'll show the deployment of VRA 7.6 in a previous slide, right? So it has a Postgres database inside this, right? So it is not a separate; it is inside this, right? So we have so that the main way of keeping these three nodes is the to have a node failure opportunity, right? So if you have a node failure, you can the VRA can switch over to an existing node and it starts working. So it can support up to two node failure, right? So if even if the node fails, it will keep on working and the provisioning goes through. So post to that we have IIS web component. So IIS web component is a I can say web part which has I can say inventory as well as the web. So it's a VRA core the user interface which will I'll show you later is divided into two parts. One part is run through VRA core and another part run the inventory and the stuff runs from VRA IIS web. So it is infrastructure as a service component, and it is the web component in that. And again we have a load balancer of the web to keep this in I can say if anything goes down, and it keeps on the redundancy basis, right? So if it is to keep it redundant, we have a two IIS web node. So the another component which is connected is the model manager. So model manager is the core I can say component for VM provisioning. The model manager has the master workflow for that particular VM. So if the user provisions a VM, it gives a request, it creates a master workflow. So master workflow is created in a model manager, right? So in model manager the master workflow is there, and it has the details of the entire life cycle of that particular VM. So even if that VM is again configured to a different yes, someone is joining. Even that VM is configured into a different workflows using VRO, the model manager has the data of that, right? It passes on the data to a separate. So it passes the data to I can say VRA core component, which states that that particular VM is ready to deploy. Its particular VM is in which state, and you will come to know that in UI what are the state of that particular VM. Right. So this is all about the model manager, and this is the DEMS. It's a distributed execution manager, right? So DEM has usually a three component: DEM agent, DEM worker, and DEM orchestrator. So this is the individual component, right? They perform individually. There is no load balancer, there is no redundancy. It's an individual component, and them agents and worker orchestrator. So dem agent is usually used to connect to a hypervisor based system, the way I have showed it below, which is vCenter, Hyper-V, and KVM. uh, dem worker and dem orchestrator are used to connect to an I can say cloud based solution, wherein you want to deploy some VM on prem. Instead of deploying a VM on prem, you want to deploy it on AWS cloud or an Azure cloud or a Google cloud, you can connect those cloud machine provisioning over here itself. So probably we realize automation is not into deploying machine to privately or in on a kind of privately held I can say infra. It can also deploy to a cloud. So if you have Azure connected to realize automation, it can use this component to deploy an Azure machine, EC2 machine, and this stuff. Those things are also configured in that. So all this, apart from this, the core VRA component which I have showed over here, which is SUSE Linux based, and the all the other components which is IaaS model manager and DEMS are Linux based. So again, the VRA core is having a Postgres database to work on, and to work with different DEMS we have a SQL. So all the Windows components are connected to an SQL database, and all the Linux component or SUSE components is connected to Postgres database. So user doesn't see anything. User logs into a VRA code load balancer. He provisions the VM like the way I've shown you before, right? It provisions a VM and it actions accordingly, right? So this is the, I can say, architecture of when we are a 7.6. On 7.5, I would say 7.5 there were just two core node 1 and node 2. There were no third node. uh, Made a mistake over here. There were no code node 3, just a node 1 was there, right? Node 1 and node 2 was there, node 3 was not there in VRA 7.5, right? So from 7.6 it has developed a 3 node cluster, and a VRA web model load balancer, VRA model manager load balancer, VRA web node, VRA IaaS web node, IaaS web node 2, model manager 1, model manager 2, and we have a DEMS. So DEMS are individual components, right? So it has a three component in it. So we can keep the three component together. We can keep the three components on the separate server, but it is recommended by VMware. You can keep the all the two or three components together. So DEMS are responsible to run the workflows on the hypervisor based solution like vCenter, Hyper-V, KVM, or on the cloud based solution which is AWS, Google Cloud, Oracle Cloud, or Azure, etc. So this is all about the core component, right? So I would appreciate if you, I guess you got a basics about it, and if you have any questions, you can simply proceed with that. Yeah. No questions from anyone? Okay, so do you want me to proceed ahead?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the diagram which is there on VMware portal, right? It is quite complicated and difficult to understand also. So I have simplified that into understanding format, right? So where it has the same way where we have a three appliances, a load balancer, then we have a load balancer, web 1, web 2, then we again have a load balancer which has I can say two model managers, but here they have kept separate to proxy agent and DEM servers. But again, we can keep all this together. That's not a problem. That is connected to a vCenter SQL database, and it is connected to a Fabric. Fabric is nothing but and I can say a resource provisioning mechanism, or I can say vCenter is a Fabric, or Hyper-V is a Fabric. So it is mentioned over there, or I can say endpoint. So I'll walk you through the VRA installation now, how it is exactly, and how we install the vRealize automation. So it is again a different diagram which we have, where we have fabrics and external resources. We have DEM agents and web, right? So it's the same diagram, but simplified in a different way. Right? So again, the prerequisite is something like you need the you can say host a record of all the components of that VRA automation we have. This is the way to deploy a core OVF, which is this two, right? So this core node, core one, core two, core three are the three nodes which are deployed. So again, we select the OVA file, which is a ready-made appliance from VMware, right? So we select the virtual machine name, you select the folder where you want to deploy, select the data center, and this will show you the details about the appliances, what it is. It shows the version, description, size, and total size on disk, etc. This is the EULA. You accept that and proceed. This is the provisioning data store where you want to provision in the way to authenticate it's thick or thin. This is the network you select, right? So you select a drop down network and you go through, right? Again, you need to see all these things are entered properly, which is domain name, domain search path, IP addresses, subnet mask, gateway, etc. So again, you have inserted everything in this tab, all the things which were mentioned over here, and you click on finish, right? So this will take around 10, 15, 20 minutes depending upon your environment, and you see this VM is ready, right? So for the initial configuration, now you have configured this nodes, right? We are a core node, and you need to configure the entire IIS part, which is the Windows and SQL, etc. So you need to go through this interface. For the demo purpose, they have selected minimum deployment. In minimum deployment, we have a single node for this. This is the enterprise deployment or the production deployment, right? So we have two nodes, two model manager and stuff, right? So for this demo, they have selected a minimum deployment with the single configuration, right? So again, the configuration is same. Instead of one IP, you need to insert the two IPs. That's nothing. This is the agent which we need to install. So agent communicates. The agent is installed on the all the Windows boxes, right? And it helps in communicating with via a core node. So it is eventually it is connected to load balancer and stuff. But to see that appliance is live, or you get the heartbeat on a real time way, the agents are configured. The agent sends their active state to VRA core node, right? So this is the agent configuration where we put the VRA appliances IP address, root, and username and password, right? So you will get, when you go to, you will see the fingerprint, and you click on configure, right? So when you click on finish, right, you will see in this installation prerequisite, when you go through a minimum or the enterprise, when you click next, all the VRA nodes will be displayed over here. In this case, this is one or two node, but in our case, there will be six node. The same way we need to configure, and it will say the last sync time, last connected, everything is displayed over here. So once we do all the when we add all the tools or the components in VRLIze automation, it will show you the prerequisite checker where all the prerequisites are installed on that, like .NET is installed, IIS is installed, Java is installed, all the things it will check, right? And as if we have a admin rights, because it require admin rights for a service account to configure, it will also give an option to fix it. So VRA will go inside the server and run some scripts to get that fixed. And if it is not, if it is something which is out of reach, it will show you right away. You can go into that server, you can fix that, and you can again come back. So again, it is shows prerequisite check. If everything is fine, it will show okay. Right. This is vRealize automation host, right, which says resolve automatically or enter host. It says a single sign-on admin password. Fill in the VRS IIS node. IIS node is nothing but this component, this IIS. Then it will ask you the details for SQL Server. SQL Server is this one, which is showed on the figure. Right. This is the DEMS distributed execution manager, which is the last component. Here we have a single component, but in enterprise we will have two components. We can click add on and select the components. And this says agent we have already installed on the proxy agents are installed on them, so we can give the same server's IP addresses. Right, for the certificate you have, if you want to export the external certificate using external CA authority, you can do out here, or you can keep the existing one and you can import it later. Right. This is web certificate, again the same, you can use the same certificate. Validation, it will validate the entire stuff. Right. If the entire stuff is cleared and everything is fine, it will proceed with the installation. So before proceeding with the installation, it will ask us to take the snapshot, so that if anything goes wrong, you can revert to a current snapshot. So it will ask us to take the snapshot. Yeah, it is the install button where it says if anything fails, you can select the retry failed option. If you go ahead and fix that and you come back, you no need to revert the snapshot. This installation detail, it will show all the things are installed properly. It will show everything displayed over here. Once the installation is complete, it will show the same, right? So post the installation, you need to create enter the license key to proceed with. And if you want to join the customer experience program, you can simply select over here. So post installation, it will say what you want to do. You want to migrate from the previous, you want to continue or configure the initial content. So this is the new, so usually we do configure initial content, and it will click on finish. So again, you need to log into connection test this in a browser, and we realize automation console. So this is the where the first time you log in, it will show, you need to click over here, and it will show the single sign-on with the administrator password which we inserted before. Right. So you need to do put a username and password, and you need to do the initial tenant configuration. Tenant is nothing but I can say a user grouping within a vRealize automation. Like inside, take an example of VMware, we have two organizations, which is IT and PSO. So if you want to create one organization as IT, you can create a new tenant name as IT. If you want to create a tenant name as a PSO, you can create a tenant name as a PSO. So it is a tenant configuration. So again, you can proceed with this forward slash get and tenant name, and you can log in accordingly. So this is how it looks after login, right? So this is the vRealize automation console. This is the catalog where I said you will find an options for an application or operating system to get this installed. So this is the admin UI. User will see only catalog and deployments, right? So when some approval will see inbox, but later on all this administration, infrastructure and container will be an admin part, right? So the same way, when you click on request the virtual machine, you will see and drop downs for adding the VM and selecting the CPU, memory disk, etc. Right? And you need to proceed. So once the VM is deployed and the things are completed, this is the way you can go ahead and see. This is the CentOS, which is shows the owner provision project. And in internal, you can see all the component which is says submitted, pre-approved, create a snapshot, post approval completed, right? So this is all the these are all the request insider of the request which we have, right? So it shows all the components and the history of the VM which is deployed, wherein you can log in and see it granularly what all things are happening. And probably most of the users, if they are curious to see what all things are going on with their provisioning, they can select see from here, or else you will receive a timely updates on your email to proceed with. So any questions that all people are quiet, so probably I'm not sure if you guys are getting it or you have any questions in between. So I would appreciate. I will take some time to answer the questions.
One question. Would you be showing us how do you create a new workflow or something on the automation as such?
No, I wish I would have shown you that, but I can't use the customer environment for that, right? So
Oh, okay.
probably I have that limitation. So to use that on the local laptop or something, right? So again, we require some kind of licenses to run that, right?
Okay. We
So
don't have a trial license or anything like that for to test
we
it.
have, yeah, we have a trial license, but again, it requires some, I can say, infra, right, to show that I need to configure
Oh,
all the 6 VMs, right? So it is
okay.
nothing like a standalone tool wherein I install and show you the component. But if you have any queries about the workflow designing and stuff, you can drop a message to a group. I'll share you the videos which we have, right, on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
internet or internal VMware. I can share you that, and probably that will help you to see how to deploy, because the workflow designing is again on the VRA you are asking me, or VRO you are asking me.
I mean, both integrated as such, say,
Right, right.
basically, because
For
in order to learn, right, I think you
right,
need to play around with both of it, isn't
agreed,
it?
agreed. So for VRA, right, it is quite simple, right? So anyone can go ahead and do it. Who has a basic knowledge about VMware, they can do it, right?
Hmm.
But in VRO, that require a coding. So each and every workflow is it's unique, right? So it is nothing
Correct.
like you have a GUI, you go it, right? So there are different set of codes and different set of I can say architecture of that particular.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you have anything specific, you can drop a message on, I can on
Yeah,
our
I'm just
group, right?
looking at the starting points of
Right,
utilizing VRA and VRO. I mean, like
right,
where to
right.
start and how to create at
Agree.
least the simple ones.
Simple ones, right, right.
Yeah, yeah.
So you
At
just
least,
make a note of the questions which you have. I would appreciate you drop all the questions on the group, right? So we have
yeah,
few
yeah.
other architects also in that group, so even they can help you in getting your answers, right? So
Sure,
I would
definitely.
definitely happy to share on the part of how the workflows are created on the basic workflow part. So if you understand the basics, you can do a core customization post that, right?
Yeah,
So it is not a challenge for VRO. It is VRA quite, it is quite simple. It is nothing much you require,
because
but
that
on VRO, yeah,
yeah, the diagram which you shared, right?
right,
I mean, like the architecture diagram,
right, right.
there's a lot of things in it.
I
In
agree,
order
I
to understand, I think you just need to just play around a bit on that
agree,
to,
agreed,
yeah,
agreed. Yeah. So we'll definitely make a note of all the questions you have, right? So
yeah,
that I'll definitely share. Would be happy to share what all things you require in a single go, right?
yeah, sure.
Any questions, anyone? I guess Vinith or anyone else unmuted.
Yeah, just one question. The
Yeah.
portal which you shared, like after deploying the nodes, so that is
Mhm.
the one which is shared with the users who can
Agreed.
like
Yeah.
add the resource. So this is how it
Right.
looks.
So exactly. So this is how it looks, right? You will see some user known as Fritz over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here, right side, if you can see, right? So this is how it looks, right? And you will only see the catalog, deployment, and inbox, right? You won't see this design, administrator, infrastructure, and containers, right? So you
As a
will only
user.
see this as a user, right? For an administrator, you will see entire thing. As a user, you will only see this. This is my application and this is Exa's application. This is just an example wherein a simple workflow will look like a single machine workflow or a multi-machine workflow, right? A single machine workflow which usually we do for all our clients, right? They require a simple workflows wherein they have an internal IT team, and if they want to modify it, they can simply do that. So if some customers require something complex, right? So they need to pay us extra for the DevOps stuff. For VRO to get integrated with VRA, you need to call. There are thousand lines of workflow for that, right? So it is not a simple where the example which I have shared about an SMS. There are separate things, many things involved in that. It should continuously monitor the VM state, then used to capture the code, then used to generate the code in user readable format. and that user readable format should be shared using the API to the external SMS workflow. SMS workflow, it should call an SMS workflow. It will send that code to via APIs to the SMS sending portal with the username, password, and the VM name, and the number of that particular user. So that requires code, right? So it is nothing like you do it on a GUI base. So if any of the customer require that the custom way, so we develop a custom workflows. But again, to change that custom workflow, they require some expertise on that. But this is the simple ones wherein we usually follow a single tier and a multi tier. So single tier would be something like user comes in, he says, "Boss, I need 5 VMs, 10 VMs with this configuration." He goes and plays a single machine stuff. And if a user doesn't want to place a different request for a different VMs, take an example of the VM user comes and he says, "I need 3 VMs, which is web app and DB, and 5 VMs change." He can go ahead and select the 3 tier workflow. We have a simple drop down for selecting an operating system. You have a drop down of selecting the CPU, memory, RAM. You have a drop down of selecting a network. The same thing happens to web and I can say database also. If web they require a DMZ, they can select a DMZ, and for database they require a higher disk or a more disk, I can say C, D, and E drive, so they can select that. So it is a simple, I can say, a way where we use and we give it to users to provision their web. So creating thing complex, again it comes to us, right, wherein people don't understand what need to do. So we'll try to keep this as simple as it is, and we proceed, right? Got the point.
Yep.
Okay. So do you want me to proceed, or do you have any questions? Anyone? I would be happy to answer that, so that we all will learn together, right? Anything on till the time we went through. Want me to open some diagram? You want me to explain some of the components? You want me to explain something uh, before proceeding? Because another one is 8.x, which we have. It as a simple architecture, right? So you want me to proceed?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So that as we have this complex stuff, right, on 7.6, right, so we have many things, many components talking to each other, many components talking hand to hand. There are many heartbeats. If any of the component fails or there is some issue with the network stuff, so VMware later on developed a version of 8.0, right, so which is currently live, right, and it is globally available. So 8.6 as an photon based, which is VMware owned, it has a Kubernetes architecture, right? So all these components are into a Kubernetes platform, right? So there are simple components inside it, right? So these are the core components which I see, VRO, core config and stuff, right? So all these components are working in a modular microservices ingress controller way, right? So it is Kubernetes based, and the SQL or the database which is used is a Postgres, and the messaging service which we have is a RabbitMQ. So this Postgres and RabbitMQ, I can say taken from the previous version, but the entire architecture is a single appliance based. So we no need to deploy a separate VMs for each and every functional or role. It is embedded in a single, I can say, appliance, and it is deployed, right? So it is quite a simple way now it is used to deploy. So creating a simple way, again we had multiple challenges in a separate environment to develop, you can say, install this complex architecture where we have a separate component, 6 to 8 components talking to each other. So to overcome that, the VMware has developed a single architecture with a Kubernetes platform, and on the VRA 8, right? So this is how it looks, right? So the diagram was little bit the I can say it was not clearly visible, so I've made it clear. So same way the user logs in, we have a load balancer, the way we had before. So we have a 3 identity manager. The identity manager does the authentication and authorization part. So previously authentication and authorization was done on the core VRA appliance also, but now they have removed those component into a separate component where we have a identity manager, right? So in the identity manager we have authentication and authorization, and there are three nodes, so we can proceed a node failure on this. And the same way we have core appliances architecture where we have a Photon OS, we have a Kubernetes, I can say architecture, and all the microservices are running inside that. So again we have a two LBs wherein to provide the redundancy we have this LB, which is the core LB, and the identity manager LB. So again to provide redundancy we have three appliances, right, and they act together to function, right? And we have a lifecycle manager. So lifecycle manager is a tool which I can say used for VRA deployment, right? And it's not only about VRA deployment. It takes the responsibility of managing the entire SDDC stacks, including vCenter. So what all components we configure into a lifecycle manager, it will show you the entire lifecycle of that particular component. Wherein we'll take you an example wherein VRA you have 8.1, right? So if in market it comes, the new version comes, so lifecycle manager will show you a new version. It will help you to upgrade, it will help you to patch, and it will help you to manage the life cycle of the entire product. So this is about the VRA 8 architecture. So do you have any questions on this? Anyone? Okay, we'll proceed. So this you can see the difference between the VRA, I can say 7 and 8. So VRA 8 now has different services like Cloud Assembly, CodeStream, Event Broker, Orchestrator, and VRA migration assessment. So core Cloud Assembly is something like we have a same catalog deployment and stuff, right? The way we shown in VRA 7.6, it has a catalog, it has a blueprint, etc. The code stream is again a code streaming wherein you configure the different code or the application which pertaining to codes deployed in this. VRA orchestrator, again orchestrator was a internal component, but it is now displayed in the same component. But in previously we used to do a forward slash VRO, it is go to a VRO. Event broker is event services where it captures the event of the that particular VM provisions and its action accordingly. So events are nothing but I can say each and every life cycle of that VM till from provisioning to destroy, or there is a separate event or a messaging happening in that. So event broker is that, and VRA migration assessment, which is an I can say a mechanism wherein it shows it shows you wherein the old VRA which you have 7.5 or 7, it can be migrated into VRA 8.0. Take an example, it will connect to a old environment, it will analyze the entire environment including your workflows, your blueprints, your reservations, etc., and it will show you the GUI I can say results of that. And the result would be something like some reservations are not supported, some workflows are not supported, some blueprints are not supported on this version. So you need to fix this as soon as you migrate it from previous version to this version, right? So anything questions about it, so we can proceed with VRA 8 installation and console overview how it looks, right? So this is again VRLI 8 installation.
Everyone, and welcome to this first video of Dutch VMware.
How it is installed, right? It is shown using a easy installer method.
Video today on the installation of VRA 8. As you may know, I have a blog on Dutch. Also have a video it's only 3 appliances.
So it shows the 3 appliances. It's a single, I can say, a minimum installation which has an identity manager, which has a core VRA appliances, and it has a LCM, which is life cycle manager.
The identity appliance, the lifecycle manager, and the VRA appliance. If you want to use a large configuration, which looks a little bit different, you can also do that with the EC installer, but you need to know the following. It doesn't install 3 identity manager appliances for you. It only installs 1, as opposed to the VRA appliance, which does install 3 of them. So if you want to set this up, you would set this up first yourself, create the
Yeah,
PIDM.
this shows the enterprise architecture wherein we have a load balancer, identity manager, load balancer. We have a three VMware identity manager 1, 2, and 3 as discussed, and then we have a load balancer for VRA core appliances, and we have a three VRA node using LCM.
VM cluster, and then import that during the installation. Okay, so without further ado, let's go and start the installation. So here we have the downloaded ISO file from VMware. This consists of all the OVA files you need to install all the components. As you can see, it's quite large. It's almost 10 gigabytes. But of course, that's because everything is inside this file. So let's mount this up and go to our installer folder. See that we have the three OS types we can use. I'm using Windows, so I can choose this one. And then start the installer itself.
It is a new way to install VM any components, right? Post 8.0 we have a easy installer method where we have a package of that particular installers, and you can mount that ISO in any of your Windows VM, and you can open it, and you can see how easy it is to install. That's the reason it's named that easy installer, right? So there is an exe file like we install Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or any of the softwares, right? So we have a exe file, right? It says install if you want to install a component or you want to migrate, right?
See two options, install and migrate. Migrate is usually used only when you have already a Lifecycle Manager 2.1, because you want to migrate to 8, and then within the new VRA 8 as well. We're going to do a greenfield installation.
And the installation is done through first the VRLS Lifecycle Manager is installed, and post that VRA 8 is installed.
And just start the install button. So here's some introduction on what we're installing: VRA appliance, Lifecycle Manager appliance, and identity appliance, and what we're doing. Just read up on this.
It will show what all things is there. We are going to install, which is vRealize automation, vRealize LCM, which is lifecycle manager, and identity manager, right? So it shows the description of entire three, right? What it is.
The next steps. Read the license agreement and accept it. I'm not going to join the customer experience program because it's just a test environment. Here you can see we need to fill out the vCenter details, which I already have done previously.
This is the vCenter where you want to install the LCM and VR.
Because it remembers previous starts of this installer, so we don't have to retype everything. Just retype the password. Click next. Send a certificate. And here we choose a location. So I have a folder from management VMs, which I'm going to deploy my OVAs to. Select the cluster, management cluster in this case, and the storage, which is vSAN storage. I'm going to enable thin mode just to save some space there. Then on to the network configuration. This is also remembered from the previous try I did. So select the correct port group, server mask, gateway, all the stuff you need there for your networking. Make sure you provide a time provider as well, because it's really important. Click next. Here we set up the password for all the default accounts, basically, on all the appliances. So it uses the same password in all locations. Next. Here we give the Lifecycle Manager appliance its VM name, which it didn't remember. I don't know why, but I have to copy in the correct name from the host name. And usually you would just type in everything, of course. This is blank in the first.
So this is the LCM host name and VM name and IP address.
Start you do this install. So we can choose new or import existing.
If you have existing identity manager, you can use that, but it is recommended to always have a new one. Right?
IDM. So if you have a cluster set up already, you would choose existing. We're going to do a new one. have a standard account through a cloud admin, and we're not going to use the single memberships. You can use that if you want to, not selected to. Okay, next. So we fill out the license key and which type of deployment you want to use. We're choosing the standard deployment, as I discussed earlier. You could do the cluster deployment and it would install 3 appliances for you, and you would then also need to set up the names, the IP addresses for the other 3, for all the 3 appliances. That's the license fee. Okay, next. Some summary, and we click submit, and that'll start the installation.
So it is quite simple, right? You just do next, enter IP address, and this will show the installation process, right? If anything goes fail, it will stop it at that moment. It can go back and fix, and again resume the installation.
Well, this might take a while because it needs to install 3 appliances in this case, and before it installs the VIDM and POA, it also needs to move ODA files from my Jump host to the Lifecycle Manager appliance, because that's the one that's going to do the installation of VRA and VIDM. So as you can see, I've paused the video a little bit, and we've moved on to where it already deployed the LCM appliance, and it's now installing the VIDM and POA. And what we can do now is we can click on this link and actually look in LCM for the progress of the installation of VIDM and POA. So log in with admin and local, and of course the password is the one we set up during the easy installer, which is the same for all appliances in this case.
So this is the LCM console.
So go and click on Lifecycle Operations, and to requests, you can already see there in the recent requests there's 2 running. That's the environment installation of the VIDM and also the VPOA installation, which is currently ongoing. And you can check the progress by clicking on the button.
So this shows the progress of each and every stages, what all things are going on in a very technical way, what all components are there which is installing, what all things it is configuring, and etc.
Or you could just sit back and relax, a little coffee, get something to eat, and I come back in an hour or so, because it's going to take some time to install all these things. And imagine if you're going to do a large deployment, it's going to take additional time because it needs to install 3 appliances. So the VRA installation is already deploying the OVA. And then when we're done, after an hour or so, you will get this screen, and you can then from here click on to your VRA instance when it's done. And so we'll do that. We'll click on the link VRA 8, and it will bring us to the login screen of the new VRA instance. Then log in. We set in the Easy Installer, we have an account that's being used for this. It's Cloud Admin. We use that to log in with the same password that was set up for all the appliances. There you have it, VRA 8. Our next video will probably go over Quick Start and Cloud Assembly.
I can say the UI which I have showed, right? It has a different services: Cloud Assembly, Cloud Stream, Orchestrator, Event Broker. Most of the admin will spend their time in Cloud Assembly section, right? Rest all are orchestrated and everything. It's related more into workflow management and stuff.
And in future videos, we'll cover Cloud Stream, Event Broker, and the rest. For now, thanks for watching. Give a thumbs up if you liked it, and talk to you later. Bye-bye.
So this was it about the VRA 8 installation. So any questions as of now? So anything you can ask. That I wouldn't mind anything if I come across any questions there. How do you want me to proceed? Okay. Fine, then I'll proceed with the VRA console overview. So there is another video for that, right?
This is Udemy, the world's largest marketplace for online learning. On Udemy, I learned everything.
Hello everyone, let's explore the new Rise 8.0 with Cloud Assembly. So once you come to Cloud Assembly, you can see blueprint, infrastructure, extensibility.
So have a look. Have just I'm sorry. Just have a look at the look and feel of VR8, how it looks, right? Where we need to click, how are the workflows and machines configured, etc.
Hello everyone, let's explore the new Rise 8.0 with Cloud Assembly. So once you come to Cloud Assembly, you can see blueprint, infrastructure, extensibility, and marketplace. Marketplace you will get once you will have your account, email account logged in. We'll explore more on blueprints. Let's see extensibility. It's more on your subscriptions, some of libraries and activity action, whichever is going on. Once you come to infrastructure project, cloud zones, Kubernetes zones. So cloud zone is something you integrate your vCenter and create one certain zone where you have your group. Project is something like a business group, you can say that, where you can have a sets of users who will be accessing it, and you'll have cloud zones inside that, blueprints and deployments, all those things all together. Coming to flavor mapping, it's more like feature sizings, big and small, extra small. You can create your own customers. Image mapping is all the images or templates what you have on-prem or on your vCenter. You can port it based on applications and regions and use that for your deployment. Again, you have a network profile. So there are a few cheap profile. It's pretty much the same thing. Let's log into this and see. It's pretty much the same, but the way it has been laid out now is a little different. Once you click on network, click on the port groups, you can have multiple networks how it was done before. So you see that network. You can view all the settings. You have few extra options like support for public IP, default for the zones. You can do a lot of other options. So you might see some different name terms or terminology now, but it is pretty much the same thing, but the terms have been changed. Once you select this, go to your manage IP ranges, you will get this. The how you were able to see all the reservations. So when you click on default, you will able to see how many IPs are being utilized from the IP range, whatever we have given. So right now I'm not using anything. Use this. So you can see now a lot of tags all around here. With a lot of objects, whatever you create, you will have to add a tag, or you can add a tag to it, and you can just use that. Store to profile. Let's discard this as well. Change to this and standard one. So if you go to tags, whatever tags you have given to all the objects during the creation, you'll have all of them. Under resource, you'll get compute. Similarly, in the resource, you'll get all your objects, including Kubernetes. You can definitely see, you can add an existing Kubernetes with the integration of PKS. You can deploy one, add an external one, so you can do a lot of things. Activity, you can see all the requests which is ongoing, activities or requests which are in progress, event logs, and you have connections. Inside connection, you have cloud accounts. So cloud accounts are accounts which you connect to your other services like AWS, Azure, GCP, NSXT, NSXV, VMware on AWS, vCenters. So these are the standard.
Are the accounts which we discussed, right, on the slide, right, where we have a different accounts where we connect and we can directly deploy VM that particular services, right?
Connectivity. Other than this, you do have integrations. If you jump to integration, you have by default your VRA one. You have so many things: PKS, GitHub, GitLab. Now you can directly integrate your GitHub and do infrastructure as a code. So we will do explore that in coming videos, but you can do a lot of integrations now with all your new objects. Onboarding, I have not explored it much. Maybe I will explore it, and maybe I can tell you more on this one on upcoming video.
Onboardings are nothing but I can say worked on this is nothing but an importing of the VM, right? If you have a old vCenter architecture placed inside your in your premises, right? And if you want to import those all the VMs into vRealize automation so that the user can do day to task on that particular VM, right? If they want to increase the VM, increase the CPU, decrease the CPU, they want to power it off, take a snapshot. All the day to related tasks can be done using this portal, wherein you import all the your vCenter environment into a VRA. You separate it into a different department organizations like finance, IT, and stuff. So if the user logs in from finance department, he will only see the VMs entitled to him. So if he want to reboot it, he want to take a snapshot, he want to increase or decrease the VM, he want to clone that, he can directly do using this portal, and it would be a simple UI way. So he in the previous, he used to log a ticket to IT admin, and he used to take a snapshot, add and remove CPUs, etc. So in this portal, if you import the existing environment into vRealize automation, and user can do it from his end, providing the approval policy.
Blueprint I'll cover a little later. Deployment is pretty much the same what we were having in 7.6. You have the filter option. You can see a lot of options on the left. With HTML5, this was a very, very good thing which they've introduced. Blueprints, we do have an existing one. Before I jump to blueprints, let me show you some other things. Click on that, come to all the tiles option.
Need a professional.
Let's go to Service Broker. Let's explore Service Broker first. So Service Broker is nothing but the user's interface, you can say, where users have certain access to, like catalogs, deployments, content policies, and infrastructure. So deployment, you can see all the things we deployed. Content policies are the general policies, it's everything what you want to share, what you don't want to share, and email notifications and other configurations. If you come to infrastructure, you have pretty much the same projects, cloud zones, cloud accounts. So whatever accounts you have given access to, whatever the integration you have given access to, a certain user would be having it completely based on the access whatever they have provided. It's the same things. Let's go back to orchestrator first. As you guys are aware that from 7.5 itself they were trying to do HTML5, and 7.6 was completely HTML5 based, and this 8.0 is just HTML5. We don't have even a plugin where you can access it in an old traditional way using Java. Maybe I'll make a separate video for Realize Orchestrator, how to use it, so that you understand, because it's pretty complex now, but much better way to use. You don't have to jump across other screens to do that. When talking about CodeStream, CodeStream is pretty much, CI/CD pipeline, you can say. You can add your integration of Minegate, MineKubernetes. You can create pipelines. You can have multiple pipelines for applications. You can execute pipelines wherever you want to execute, manage your executions, and have your dashboards. So you can do all these integrations, and it's really interesting. Maybe an entire video series on this will be quite fun to explore more on this. Let's go back and explore something more. It will be nice because you can use infrastructure as a code, and you can use it's going to be, as you know, the blueprint now is completely revamped, and the major change what you can see is in the blueprint area, the way we used to create, and you cannot see that XaaS software component and all those stuff right. So once you go to blueprints, let's create a blueprint. Let's give any name based on what we want to do, or a video that's relevant, and let's let me click
Uh,
on
as uh, as we are asking a question about the blueprint, right? So we'll get some basics about 8.0, how the blueprints are created on the basis on the basics, right?
testing two. Oh, it's prepare a project. I need to assign it some kind of a business code. You can say that also. So few of the terms have been changed. Do understand that? Great. You don't have a tenant kind of a style now anymore. Those all concepts have gone. Now you can see right here, right? It is in a YAML format. You can see on the left side, it is cloud agnostic. You have machines, load balancers, networks, security groups. You can write your own YAML scripts on the right hand side. It will get executed. For AWS, you can see now you have instance, you have volume, S3 buckets, you have Route 53. You have so many things inside that. Again, under GCP, you have machines and those features. Under Kubernetes, you have K8s and namespaces, and on Microsoft Azure, you have so many things: blob storage, instance, SQL, key vaults, app services, TNS. So you have so many stuff inside that Azure itself. And when you talk about the configuration management, you have Ansible and Puppet to directly integrate. It's really fun to explore this via 8.0. So once you export a vSphere machine, you do not get that old traditional way of, where you customize your images, define it, custom properties and all. Now you have everything to be defined. And can you see that yellow dot? The bulb kind of a thing. So once you select that, you will have all the optional parameters where you can define adding of a disk, images, flavor, customization spec. So you add your flavor. So you remember that we had small, extra small, and all those stuff. So if it's a string, you will get some description here what you want to add. So you can define those parameters here, that what you're looking for, and based on that you will have to deploy. So I'm also not expert in this because this is quite new. I need to go in depth of how to create a blueprint. So I'm exploring it more and more. I'll keep in touch with you guys. Maybe I'll make a separate video how to use it more. You can add a folder name. So if the following blueprints will get built, where exactly this folder name in which it will get built to. So let's remove this. Let me try to add an image. Let's add an image and see that based on that we can do anything else. Scroll down. Customization specs you have seen. Reference image. So once you have added this reference image and you select that, you will see all the templates which is in your blueprint, right? So all the templates you can see. Just choose that template, and using those templates it will get deployed. So guys, that's quite pretty interesting to see. A lot of stuffs are new, and I think we have to put a lot of efforts to understand, explore it more, because there's everything new here. You do have a versioning, you do have test, you have deployment, so you have multiple versions for each of them. So if you see that CentOS 7, if I expand this, you can see version 1.0. So you do have a versioning here. That's a pretty interesting piece, right? And we do have to sync a repo, so there is a repository also. So a lot of things to explore. We will make a separate video, as I said before. So guys, this is pretty much a quick overview for this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comment. And if any questions you have, please do free to comment that.
So hope that was good with the basics, right? How VRA 8 looks and feel, right? So this is the view, how it looks and feel. This is VRO, I can say a view. The VRA we have already explored. This is VRO 8.0, the same way where we explored it before, right? So this was all about the today's, I can say, content about the VRA 7X and 8X, right? So if you have any questions, we still have 8 to 10 minutes. We can take it out, or you can post on group. Anything which you feel that is comfortable to you guys. So fine. If no questions are coming, then we'll stop the session, right? And we'll end the session over here. I'd like to thank everyone who has joined the session. Yes, Ashish. Any questions?
No, okay. Actually, I have very maybe it's a basic or silly question,
No, that's
but
fine.
just
Questions
I'm
are
asking
basic.
in group because everyone has some different kind of knowledge. Even you have, and as we are working since many years on VMware platform. So where now I have heard we are hearing now cloud. Everyone is saying cloud, Kubernetes and all, but I'm not aware exactly what those applications, how it use and how what for what we use it. But I have just basic question. As earlier we used to work on physical machines, so we used means organization used to buy physical hardware as
Right,
per the
right,
developer's requirement, how much
right,
CPUs or which processor they want, either
right,
Intel or
right,
Spark
right,
processor
right,
for Solaris. Okay,
right,
so and as per the benchmark of the application, whether they want what the hardware requirement and then the application requirement, either Java for DBA, they want Sybase or Oracle, whatever
right,
the database they want.
right,
And
right.
then we used to post we give the purchase order and it get approved and we get the hardware. After that, administrators used to configure
Exactly,
hardware, then install OS and then install application, everything, application
exactly.
Java and then
Right,
whatever the DBA database related, everything.
right,
So
right,
we after that when virtualization came, it directly means it has a good concepts and with that directly we have reduced the work of we automated everything with the hardware means we can
exactly.
uh, illustrate the CPU whether we have given 10 CPUs or 20 CPUs and if developer want more CPUs we can give increase the count of CPUs
Right, right,
or memory. Okay,
right,
but in that case, we used to keep a template with the OS, means whatever if for any application, we used to keep a template for specific any application. Example, Geneva application requires this softwares like Java and whatever other softwares. So we used to
right,
build that server and then we keep
right,
as a template for next
right,
installations.
right,
Okay,
right,
similar for database also. But
right,
nowadays requirement is changing. Means developer want different softwares on their OS which we give.
right,
So do we
right,
have any provisioning? So now what I understand with this, okay, we can they can send their request and we can increase this. We have the templates and we can change any number of CPUs, memories, or whatever
right,
uh,
right,
networks means development networks or production network. You
right,
can move that VM to anywhere. So do we have
right,
additional provision that if any developer has asked any additional application, and we just
right,
click that with this new VM should have this
right,
application also get installed automatically.
right.
So is there any
Exactly.
provision or
Right,
any
right. It's
other
a
another?
no, no, it's a very good question which you have asked, right? So yes, the way we have, I can say, VM provisioning, we have a application provisioning also, right? Wherein if users say they have a set of 10 applications, right, and we create a template of that particular application. The way we create a template of that particular VM, we create a template of that application too, right? So even if we can integrate that in a I can say customized way wherein we have a blueprint where users select the operating system, CPU, memory, RAM, right? And we have a further option, right, to drop down to create an application also, right? So we have an application template where we can integrate that template into an existing VRA node wherein users say that they need SQL to be installed or IIS to be installed on that particular or any custom application. So the application developer or the application provider can provide us a package or I can say a MSI file, or that file would be I can say eventually developed and configured by application packaging team, or even if you have a ready-made package available from the service provider, and then we can trigger that application installer and all the parameters that require into that particular VM to be installed in this blueprint also. So yes, we have that option. So there is no manual intervention required for that. Only thing you to know, you should have a proper package, and that package should have a proper details wherein server name, IP address, and stuff. So if we call that package and we run that MSI or ESX, exe file without user intervention. In the workflow explorer, you will always see the once the VM is provisioned, then you will see the VM is calling I can say workflow for an application installation, and even that can proceed, right? So we have a separate installations like an antivirus installation, or any specific installations customized template, right? So where we use a software component to be installed in the particular VM. So yes, we have that option.
Okay.
So I can
Okay.
if you just drop down the message in the group, right? So I can show you the method, or I can share you the videos or the components, how it is done on a granular way.
Okay.
So eventually it is just not an application installation, which I have repeated before. It is completely customized. You can do anything with this, right? You can integrate to any of the organization, till any of the tools, I can say, till the time it is supports this automation and orchestration part, right? So any of the tool which supporting this mechanism can be integrated with VRA.
So it can be done.
Hope that
Can be
answers
done
me.
by Kubernetes.
Kubernetes is a different platform. Kubernetes, they can say, Kubernetes is a total different platform. It is a Kubernetes is a microservices way, right? So Kubernetes is a different platform altogether. It is on we have a workflow designer, which I have showed you before. I'll show you again. So this is the workflow designer, right? So in this template, you can again put a component inside this, which calls the application installation APIs, and that will install an application for you.
Okay.
Kubernetes is a different component. Kubernetes is a microservices environment, right? So it is nothing related to that you install this. Kubernetes you can install, right? But as you say that user is asking for a specific application to be installed on the server or the VMs, which is this one, that can be done using the simple blueprint and integration the application blueprint of that.
Thank you.
Yeah, good. So any questions, anyone? Okay. Then fine. Then I would like thank everyone who has joined this session, right? And I will definitely share the recording, right? And I wish you guys best luck, right? So we can connect on the next session, right? So you guys keep learning and keep exploring. Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah, just question.
Thanks, Raman.
What
Yeah.
any idea?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is your
Go
next
ahead,
session?
Ash.
Any
Next
plans for
session
next
probably
session?
I'll
Which
probably I'll go with VRO, which is VR sorry VROPS. I'm trying to schedule, which is We Realize Operations Manager. It is a analytics and the monitoring tool, which is developed by VMware. So I'm planning that. Let's see. I'll drop a message in the group. Let's see what all things comes ahead. Right.
thank you very much for
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
call.
You will.
Thanks, Raman.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Bye bye. Thank you everyone for joining. Yeah. I will see you at the next session. Thank you. Bye bye.